Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings. Thank you for joining me on Modest Beauty Podcast. Today, our guest is Sister Sumiyyah Rasheed. She is the author of No Money Startup, How to Build an Apparel Manufacturing Company. And she also has a fashion industry, which she is the co-owner in an Atlanta-based production house called SWH Apparel, which was started with her mom, I want to say in 1992, so almost 30 years ago. She also showcased her designs in New York Fashion Week, and her brand is An Nahari, a tantalizing, curvy women production of lingerie. And also, she is a business consultant with over 500 clients who are Fortune 500 clients based in her repertoire of clients. I would like to welcome Sister Sumiyyah Rasheed. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. So I want to get right into it. And I know that I mentioned your empire because that's what it really is. It's an empire. You've been doing this for almost 30 years. Could you start with the name of the company and exactly what it is that your company does?
Well, the parent company is SWH Apparel. And that's the company that was started back in 1992, with my mom. It's the parent company over the brands that we produce. So we produce An Nahari, which is our wholesale arm of our business, which we sell to stores around the country. And then we have Alexis Simone, which is our direct-to-consumer branch. So those two companies are under that umbrella of SWH Apparel. But SWH Apparel was really called, before we named it SWH Apparel, we called it Full Figure Design. And that's what a lot of people in the industry know us by. And then we later changed the name so that we could expand the business, because Full Figure Design was, very limiting and didn't really say anything about the business and about our vision, where we wanted our business to be.
So let me ask you this. How did you get into that facet of fashion? Because you're actually in the back end, the not so glamorous part of the fashion industry. How did you get there and how did you stick with it?
Well, we actually got to the manufacturing part of the business by really backing into it. We didn't start out to be manufacturers. That wasn't our goal. When we started, we really just wanted a way to, make extra income and, leave something for our children to do. So we thought, well, we'll build a wholesale business and, the kids can take over. So we quickly learned that we didn't have control of our business. So the tipping point was when I called a vendor in New York. An usher board needed red dresses in June. And he says, we don't have that. I said, what do you mean? He says, we don't have that until Christmas. Well, I don't have 6 months. They need this right now. So that was a clue to me. I said, we don't have control and we have to get control of the business. So I didn't have any manufacturing experience. I mean, I knew how to sew, but home sewing is different from industrial sewing, yep. Being an industrial operator. So I had a good friend in Houston, a designer. She started taking me around to learn how to talk to contractors. And we started getting contractors together to start producing, some of the pieces that we wanted to sell back to stores. And then, we learned that facet of the business and, but see, I still didn't own the equipment. I still had to go to find somebody with the equipment. So I think around 97, maybe, I started traveling. My mom and I went to Mexico. That was our first trip. We went down Toluca, Mexico, outside of Mexico City. And we went to the factory and I started looking around. And I mean, this guy just had stuff crammed in a tin building. It was like maybe half the size of a football field.
Wow.
So I started looking at the equipment. And then from there, I just started traveling the world. I'd find a factory. I said, can I come? And they said, well, okay. So, I go to these factories and stay so I could learn. And we were getting pieces done because we started doing big and tall men's clothes.
Mm.
So that was helping us stay afloat while we learned how to manufacture. So every time I saw a piece of equipment, I came back home and then I would find somebody that sold used equipment. I said, "Do you have this specific piece of equipment?" They said, "Yeah," and they sell it to me. So I started putting it in my house, in the
You,
garage.
you are definitely a startup, like meaning like you had to go from hands on, not knowing how to do anything to get to where you are 30, and I'm just going to say 30 years later. This is amazing, and mashallah and alhamdulillah, because you had you were just ready to go and continue, and like you said, you wanted to leave something, and that was your mission. you
Right.
you you did it, and I commend you for it, because
Oh, alhamdulillah.
for somebody like you said not to know what to do, and you went and you were just going and looking, and you said, I'm not leaving out of here. Like you said, I stayed. I'm not leaving out of here until I know what I'm doing and get what I need.
Right.
Good. What's the difference between a manufacturer and a distributor, and are you both?
Well, I would say I'm a hybrid because a manufacturer is the entity that takes the raw goods and turns it into a tangible product,
Okay.
whereas the distributor is the person that takes the sewn goods
Mhm.
and then passes it out
Mm.
among their clients.
Mhm, mhm.
So you have some guys that are just nothing but really large distributors. They have that base where they can get the product out of the door.
Mhm.
So we sort of we have that. It's not as extensive as some of my competitors,
Mm, mm,
but
mm.
we're building that side of the business so we can move product, and I don't have to always depend on another distributor to move my product for me.
Mhm. All in one, under one building.
Yeah, under one roof, right?
Hey, I'm all for it. I totally understand. So what does your company offer? What services does your company specifically offer, in case people want to know?
Well, what we offer to the outside world is what we call private label sewing,
Mhm.
which is, an umbrella that we will take your idea. I mean, if you don't know how to sew, but you want to get a product completed, we will walk you through, help you through that process. So if you bring your pattern or if you bring your idea, we can take a sketch and turn it into a pattern. Now, there is a cost associated with that. It's kind of, and at this point, it's kind of pricey because we don't have anything to work with. It's better if you bring a sewn garment, but we can start from scratch and go all the way. So we do the pattern making, we do the grading, we do the sample making, and then we can do a sample run, which is like 12 pieces to make sure the process works.
Huh.
We do the digitizing of the pattern. We send it over to Electro Table to have it electronically cut, and then we're ready to go in production.
Wow. So I want to skip to another question then, because with that, what you just said, what is the time limit then from making a pattern or drawing out a garment from prototype or sample to finished to ready to sell? 6 months, 8 months, a
No,
year?
no, it's about 18 months. It can be anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, and it depends on the complexity of the garment. And
Mm.
then the time comes in when with the back and forth, because if you have changes to the garment, then we've
Mm-hmm.
got to send it back, say, okay, we could tweak this. And we've instituted an in-house process where we document all the changes so that we don't get lost in the process. Oh, I thought you said, and you thought I said, because,
Mm-hmm.
we got into a lot of that. And so he said, no, we have to stick with our process. So, you can eat up, your time is eaten up with the
Mm-hmm.
back and forth. No, change this. Okay, we go back and we change this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
send it back now. Do you need, so, you've eaten up
Mm-hmm.
several weeks, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
month. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I always like to be realistic and say it could take up to 18 months,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
literally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope to get in this process with you as well, because
Inshallah.
inshallah, I'm trying to get my line out, and you were the first person, of course, that I thought of going to, because you know everything. And now that I'm listening to, which I didn't know that you started from scratch, literally from scratch, that you really, really do know what you're doing, and I would trust you with my line.
Oh,
But
alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah, thank you. What do you recommend designers who are trying to get their collection out on the market? How should they go about producing their collection? What would
Well,
be the first steps?
you have a couple of options, really to save money. If you can do as much of the work as possible. I mean, it's hard and it's tedious. This is not the glamorous part of the business.
Exactly. That's what I said, because I see it's not. It
No,
really
it's
is not.
No. So if you can do as much of the work as possible, that will help you. If you can't, then okay, we've got to start that process of, okay, you've got the idea, what are the next steps, and then work through it. Sometimes people want to sew things themselves. And if you've got that capability, then okay, you can save yourself some money. But if you're not, then you need to find a trusted manufacturer. And when I say trust, because a lot of my colleagues are just notorious for lying. Not being honest about it. Because if you call a guy up and he says, yeah, I can do it. Yeah. Well, see, you haven't been there. What machines do you have? I mean, you got to ask those kinds of questions, because see, I'm specifically tooled for activewear, swimwear, and lingerie. So I'm not going to be able to do jackets. I'm going to have to outsource that to another company, which will work with us, but we're personally not going to sew any jackets. I mean, we'll be able to sew pants, but we try not to get too far out of our niche, because we have niched ourselves down with the equipment. And you have to ask the people, what kind of garments do you sew?
Let me go back real quick. You said that if the designers want to sew themselves, how can a designer sew? Some people, I mean, and this is just on social media, have hundreds and thousands of followers. How are they sewing all? There's no way that they can be sewing all this themselves. Because one garment, you know how long it takes one garment to make.
Right. Well, I have mixed feelings about social media. and I know it is a very necessary part of the generation that grew up on the internet. I mean, I've been in the computer industry as long as, going back to the mid 60s. I mean, I grew up in the industry.
And you were an IT specialist, right? Or information.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like literally not even a teenager when I started fooling around, in the industry. So, I mean, none of this to me is new, because this is an evolution of getting here. So, when I'm watching people play on the phones and, I've got all these followers, my thing is, how much money are you really making from what it is you do? Because see, likes don't mean dollars. Oh, I get people liking all day long. We post stuff, I like it. You haven't bought it.
You know what? You got a point there. Okay, so these 2,000-3,000 likes, they're not getting 2,000-3,000.
I mean, I think I have one or two clients that I've worked with where they have literally built their business on Instagram and their Facebook, because I started following them. I said, oh, okay. So they were very clever with what they do. I said, oh, okay. But we were still the back end doing the selling.
Right.
All he had to do was just post.
Hey, he's got the easy part, right?
Yeah, he's got the easy part. It's kind of like, okay. So, he wasn't doing the sewing, and he realized quickly, okay, I need some help. This is not going to work. He said, I think he had some ladies working in their houses. And he said, no, this is not.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, even if you have one or two people, you can't.
No, he wasn't able to do it. So, it came to us, and, we started pushing through. At first I was kind of like blowing him off. I said, oh God, I don't want to do this. I don't think so. But then, alhamdulillah, you grew the business to the point where we were doing almost like 1,000 of these units a week.
Wow.
Outside our other clients. And
right.
So, but still the likes don't necessarily mean the dollars. Because they still have a website. They still have these websites where people are going to click. That's where they're clicking. You're just saying, okay, here it is. Oh, I'm gonna go over to the website. So you think maybe like 10% of the people of the likes may 5 to 10%, and that's kind of high, may buy, may shop, that are saying, oh, click, oh yeah, well, and so the comments like, oh, I need that, but did you click? That's my thing. Did you click? Did you go all the way through the process and click?
Right.
I like that. Did you click?
That is so true. I never equated the two together. You're right.
No, I know. I need to see the dollars, because see, at the end of the week, I've got people to pay and I got to eat too.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, this is your bread and butter.
I got to pay my mortgage needs to be paid.
Right. I was going to say, this is red lights. This is food.
So at the end of the week, no, on Friday, the eagle flies real high and people are not trying to hear, I didn't make enough sales this week to pay you.
Oh, no, they definitely don't want to hear that.
They're not trying to hear that. They're not trying to hear that at all. So this is a conversation piece that I always have with clients. We get into it and we butt heads, about social media, the clicking and the liking and the dollars. So one of my clients finally admitted, he came back to me and said, you're right. We really butted heads. I said, okay, good for you. And then he came back, he said, you know what? He said, Mr. B, you right. I said, I told you, it's the dollars and the distribution.
Not the clicks and the likes.
Not the clicky. I said, I scrolled through and click all day long.
Get thousands of clicks.
I ain't bought nothing. I bought a thing. I like you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I totally understand. So this is going to bring me to my next question. What's the one thing you can't stress enough to the designers or anyone else looking to produce a collection, or when they're looking for a manufacturer or producer to produce their collection? What can't you stress enough?
Do your research.
Okay.
Just do your research. Because by the time you get to me, I get a lot of calls every week. Everybody has an idea. Everybody wants to produce. I mean, I don't know what they're watching. I don't know what this phenomena is. But they have these and I'm not shooting down ideas. But they don't do their research. So when I start questioning you, okay, how many pieces, how many styles are you doing? How many colors? What's your size range? How many, what's your run? They go, well, what do you mean? You mean, okay, go do your research and find out the terminology before you talk to me. Because I had a person say, well, I need you to do the patterning. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. No, I don't. I do not know what you're talking about. And so the person was adamant, well, you're in the industry. Exactly. You need to use terminology that we use in the industry. I have no clue about what you're talking about. You made this word up. So I can't stress enough to do your research. You may not be the person doing the sewing, but you need to understand the process at a high level. I mean, I'm not talking about getting in the weeds and, digging the soil. At a high level, you need to understand this is the process. You take the sketch, you make the pattern. From the pattern, you do the sample. You do 1 or 2 samples, Then from there, we do some more testing. So you need to understand at a high level what the process is, and then understand the industry. See, a lot of people want to jump in. They're diving in this. Oh, do you even know where you're swimming? What are you bringing new to the industry? I want to do a lingerie line. So what makes you different? What makes somebody want to pick up your garment off a hanger versus somebody else? What are you doing? And so it's really thinking through the business. This is not if this is a hobby, I'm not your person. I'm not in this for the hobby. No.
That needs to be stressed as well. Don't come to me if you're a hobby or if there's something you just want to kind of touch.
People say, oh, I want to do 25 pieces. I'm not your girl.
Ooh, yeah.
You need to get a home sewer to help you out, because
they can do that. That home sewer, like we talked about.
You're gonna
They
get a
can
whole.
do that.
Yeah, they can do the 25 pieces.
Yeah,
Even 300 pieces is quite, now at this point, it's
kind of
not
low.
gonna cut it for me because,
Right.
I mean, we can blow through 300 pieces in half a day, less than half a day.
Mm,
We're done.
mm, mm,
And
mm.
then, they're looking around like, what else are we going to do? So, see, I can't be in that mode. I have to stay ahead of my sewers. So, the cutting has to be, we've got to cut to stay ahead of them so that they're not looking, because I can't pay people to just sit around and look up at the ceiling. That's not the business that I'm in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like you said, this is your bread and butter. This is how your mortgage is getting paid, and that's ultimate, and how your workers are getting paid.
Yeah. So I have to stay on the front end of this thing, figuring out, who are our next customers, who's in the pipeline, what do we have in the pipeline? Do we have enough in the pipeline to keep us going? So I've got to think out 3 months ahead.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's part of the manufacturing in this industry. Like I'm not thinking about my 3 months ahead at my job right now, but this is what you have to do.
No, you've got to crunch numbers. And a lot of people think, oh my God, you're a designer. No, I'm not. I'm not.
And that's what I really, and at first I thought, until I really got to know you.
No.
And then I was like, wow, I did not know this is what you did.
No,
I think a designer too.
I mean, we're all technical designers. Pretty much everybody on the staff that help, outside sewing operators, everybody else, we're what we call technical designers. And we are the people that bring the idea or the nightmare to life. So, the fashion designer, they're the person that thinks of the concept. They do the sketching. They render it very beautifully and have no clue how to sew it and how to get it done. They come to, oh, you guys, oh, okay, sure. We'll do it. No problem. So this end of the business, I don't particularly sketch. I know how to sketch. For a long time, I did all of that. But see, I don't have time to do that stuff anymore. I mean, I've got to rely on stuff we did maybe 15, 20 years ago, revive some of those patterns and upgrade them. Or go through the old sketchbook and say, oh, okay, we got some stuff. But as far as sitting down and doing the cute sketching and this, the nice color, that doesn't happen because, see, I've got to crunch numbers. Yeah, I've got to know how many units are leaving the door, how many units can we plan to produce, what's it going to take to produce it? We've got to source fabric. What fabric do we need? Oh, somebody's got to order that. You want to go out and see if we can find that? Oh, so we're doing all of the production planning and keeping it going, because this is what keeps the operation going. Is the production planning.
That's right. Yeah. And also you, like you're saying, figuring out what is coming, not even just 3 months, 6 months down the road, because you need to see where
I need to know where are those dollars coming from. And if we have a glitch, I need to know we've got a backup. Okay, what backup do we have in case that falls through? Because see, we're already sewing and thinking Christmas. We're trying to figure this out. That's like, what are we going to do for Black Friday?
That's right.
Got a clue. And then what are we going to do, 4 weeks into Christmas? Every week we got to do something different. What's going to be the marketing plan? How are we going to reach them? How are we going to move the units? What do we need to do? So we've already put a plan in place for us to be out and about, hands-on, to get our product distributed to the consumer. And that means building events.
And this, I was going to say, this is what's nice, because not everybody wants to be, and I don't want to use the air quotes, but a designer. Not everybody wants to be a model. Not everybody. There are people out there who want to do exactly what you're doing, and want to know what it takes to get there and be in the business for 30 years. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say 30, because 29 years is right there. It's 30 years.
Yeah, it's been, my son was, well, he's 32, 33. So he was saying, he says, we've been doing this forever.
Literally.
That's the clue, son. We have been doing it forever. Because he was like 7, I guess. And when we had the machines in the house, we taught him it's a machine that puts buttons on shirts. And that was his job. We had a stack of shirts as tall as he was. And, He was sitting at the machine. He knew he knew how to put the button. He was doing it. That was his little job, and we gave him dollars. And so he grew from that into now he is operations manager. He knows how to run everything.
Wow. A true family business. A true family
business. So he's the one that I tagged. I said, okay, you're it.
That's right.
You're the one I'm going to dump all this into.
That's right.
I spent 30 years greasing the wheel for you.
And now you can take it over.
You can do it. So you can step in and you don't have to start down in the trenches, getting it all dirty, because, I pretty much have greased it for you. All the contacts around the world, everybody that we need to go to, making calls. I said, see, all that's done for you. We have a standard operating procedure manual where I've listed everything how to run the business.
Right, right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So how can people find your company? Where are you if people want to find you?
If they want to find me, we're at SWH Apparel, APPAREL.com. And then if they simply want to buy, they can go to alexasimone.com. And they can call us at 678-200-5809.
Nice. Our last question. What would you like our listeners and viewers to leave with today? What is Sumiyyah Rasheed doing today, along with running your empire? What is your point of, this is who I am now, alongside my empire?
Well, what the projects that I'm working on now are, I'm really concerned about, young brothers and sisters coming back from being incarcerated and that cycle of recidivism. So, I started working on a project, a few years back, working with teenage boys and girls to try to catch them before they get into that pipeline by exposing them to opportunities that they may not have been. So one of the things that we were doing, we built drones from scratch. I mean, I'm blowing out stuff. I work right with them, helping them understand that business, taking them out where, they can learn to fly them, but not only fly them, get your pilot's license. That's a whole new, it's the Wild West out there. So, and then working with individuals who are coming back from being incarcerated. Yeah, because this industry is so vast and there's so many opportunities. You don't have to be a fashion. Supply chain management. That's huge. These warehouses aren't going anywhere. So that's another facet of what I'm working on now. I'm working in rural areas to work on workforce development and employment opportunities, through our company.
It's all beautiful stuff. Things that we need, things that our listeners and viewers can actually share and take to other people who may need it. To me, it's all great to have an industry that has so many different facets in the industry itself. And that's what I was saying. We only see the glamorous part, or what we call the glamorous part, or the parts that they want you to see. There are the other parts that are nitty gritty, that are the what is it? The nuts and bolts of how it gets to that part.
We're pretty much down at the knuckle level. We're the nuts and bolts of it. And we've always flown under the radar. People in the industry that need to know us know us. People outside the industry have no clue. But we've niched ourselves out in the industry where we became go-to people.
But that's the nice thing about it, because you sat there and carved your way. You carved the way your company would and should be, not somebody putting you in a box or putting you this way or putting you that way.
Yeah, they tried it, and I was like, no.
And especially as an African-American woman, a Muslim woman.
And it was pointed out to me by one of our consultants. She said, well, honestly, you have built yourself into a space where you're not supposed to be, because this is a white male dominated industry. And people don't know that. They think, they see the pretty girls, they see, the runway. Those are men behind all of those businesses.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, they're men. So they're calling the shots. They know the numbers. They're crunching numbers. So when I'm having conversations with a lot of these guys, they're like, "Oh, you know?"
No.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
Right. Right, exactly. Oh, you know?
You know, well, where are you getting your things at? Yeah, I know about that too.
I'm doing my research. Like I said at the beginning, the research.
It's the research. Yeah. So it means I've got to stay in the Wall Street Journal. I got to stay in the New York Times. I got to, I've got to read every newspaper. I've got to stay abreast of what's going on globally. Because what happens globally will affect me.
That's right. That's right. Wow.
So yeah, so people really just need to, if you're going to do something, as my grandmother would say, if you're going to do it right. Just do it right and stay with it. This is not going to be an easy road. It's not paved with honey and there is no gold. There's gold, but you got to work for it.
I think a lot of people think that you don't have to work, that it just comes naturally, or once they get into the job, or once they get into what they're looking into doing, then they see how hard it is and then they want to back out or say, no, this is not for me.
No, it is for you. You just have to you have to be willing to pay the dues. Like we say, you got to get some street creds. And the only way you can get street creds, you got to do the do.
Yeah, like you said, get your knuckles dirty, get all down.
Yeah, you got to get bloody. You got and so you got to put some skin in the game. You got to have a lot of skin in the game.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Well, I thank you so much, Sister Sumiyyah Rasheed, for joining us today on the Modest Beauty Podcast. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. I would like to leave with: be fashionable, be trendy, be modest. Sister Sumiyyah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you next time. Until next time, take care.